Okay, cool. Ready? Awesome. So welcome, Victoria. We have been figuring this out for a while, so I'm happy that we've made it happen.
I know. Finally, it was long overdue, so I'm glad we were able to coordinate.
Yes, thank you. So you are incredible and absolutely, I don't mind bending is the only weird word that I can fathom for you because you can contort yourself in all sorts of different shapes and so even before we get there, I want to know a little bit more about your history. I know that you started with dance and what type of dance and this type of stuff, and then we'll get more to recent day with all of your beautiful shapes.
I started dancing classical ballet as a child at 4, and it was something that I trained in very intensively all through grade school, middle school, high school. I was on a pre-professional track, was training in the summertime at like School of American Ballet and American Ballet Theater, all the big ones here in New York City. And I had knee surgery. And so I kind of was a little, deterred from following my desired career path. I was like, this is never going to happen. Like, my knee is a mess. It never really healed completely. And so I kept dancing, but inevitably I was like, I'm going to go to college just because that's like the safe route. So I went to Dartmouth College. That was my first choice school. So I'm very happy I got in there. And then I joined the dance ensemble while there. So I was still able to fulfill my passion for movement. It wasn't so much hardcore classical ballet anymore. It was a little bit more modern contemporary, but I really enjoyed that. And after I left college, I just stopped dancing cold turkey. I was kind of lost after school. Wasn't really sure what I was going to do, and I had a few like traumatic experiences after I left university, having lost my best friend, and then like my dad had quadruple bypass heart surgery all within 48 hours. And so after that, I was just kind of like a little bit down, confused. So I just did the Ivy League thing. I went into finance and I worked a hedge fund job for, I guess it was 6 years. It didn't fill my passion at all. I enjoyed the experience. It was a great learning opportunity. But in general, I was very detached while I was there. And I think it became obvious because I would leave in the middle of the day to like go to yoga class, or, I would always rush out 5 o'clock on the dot so I could get to yoga class. Thanks to the hedge fund, though, and its location, I found a hot yoga studio. And once I found it, I kind of just fell in love and started taking Bikram yoga every day for quite a few years. And that's the one thing that kind of helped me get through a lot of like my inner demons, as far as like feeling guilt towards my friend's passing and just like not feeling fulfilled at work. I had a very bad eating disorder for a very long time, which was always like kind of on the surface because I wasn't necessarily in the happiest of places. But that really just changed everything. So I really committed to that practice, and I never thought I would like now be a yoga instructor and, anything like that. But my hedge fund did me the favor of letting me go in December 2018, along with a few other people. I wasn't the only one, but it was kind of a blessing in disguise. But yet still, I didn't know what I was going to do. I actually became like very depressed, started abusing alcohol. It's like very just on a downward spiral, like, what am I doing with my life? And my parents actually had like an intervention with me, and they're like, we can't do this anymore. They're like, you're going to kill us and you're going to kill yourself. So I decided to sign up for teacher training. I was like, I need some meditation in my life. I just need something calming. I signed up for teacher training. The week before training started, I was hospitalized with a lupus flare-up, but I left in time and I showed up day one, and that's just been it. I've been like, gave my life over to yoga and the training and like more of the lifestyle, health and wellness. And it's been like a blessing.
It is a huge blessing. I don't, especially
Yeah.
being here in New York City, I think that it's so easy to just get caught up and wrapped up in, well, I just
Yeah.
need to live. Like you felt like you need to be in that finance world because you had to live and provide, and you know, it's hard to step back, take a second, really refocus and say, is this making me happy? It's not, or it is. And what can I do to better myself and better it to make sure that, you know, you can actually lead a happy but also healthy life?
Exactly. And like, my parents are from the Caribbean, so there's like a lot of hard grained traditions. And so it's like, they expect you to be like doctor, lawyer,
Hmm.
financier, like all that stuff. But, it's not, I'm too much of a creative soul. I have been ever since. And like, since childhood. Um, and so to embark on something like yoga was like very frightening because it's like, well, how am I going to pay my bills? Like, what does this look like? Like, am I going to be teaching every day, running up all around the city, like, to 10 different studios? Because it just seemed like it was really kind of a grind.
Hmm.
But I just loved the yoga and the movement and just like the learning process behind it. After teacher training, I learned so much just about my own body and my own mindset and just like what it means to like really be in tune with yourself and with others in a space and just like feel energy that like it's honestly,
Energy
I
is such a real thing.
it really is. You can feel it. You can totally feel
Yes. When I get upset with my husband, I don't have to say anything, and he'll come over and be like,
it.
babe, what happened? And I'm like, nothing. He's like, no,
He
no.
knows.
I feel you radiating, like I know some, like, and it's so funny because I always knew energy was a thing, but you, as I don't know if it's a New York thing or as an adult thing or what, but you can really feel energy, like
Yeah.
it's amazing because it's like it's not something you can see, because you know people can pretend to be happy and people can pretend to be got their shit together, but you can feel really, it's
What's
amazing.
going on the inside. Totally. Yeah.
So, Mike, I have a question going back. When you were really little, four, because I have a little one now, so I'm always wondering, like, when should I start her in this and when should I start her in that? One, how did you keep your motivation to continue practicing, right? Because it's easy to lose motivation when you've been doing something for such a long time.
Yeah.
And was it something you chose, or you were following someone's footsteps? You saw it around the house, or you just, this is a class you took and then you were good at it or got attached to it and that was it.
Yeah. I'm glad I started at 4 because I feel like that's always the earlier the better. That's the best time to like learn things. And really, you have to be dedicated. It shows discipline. It teaches you a lot of things that just like, if you don't embark on some sort of extracurricular seriously, that you'll never learn in life, I feel like. Um, and it was actually my mom got me involved in ballet. I guess she grew up dancing. I mean, I've never seen any footage of her dance or anything like that. I haven't seen a photo, but she said she used to dance and she always wanted me to. And so she felt like ballet would be the best thing to, help teach me grace, poise, hard work, dedication, discipline. And I mean, she was right. There were times, though, throughout the process, like, one of the teachers is mean and you don't want to go back. And my mom was like, nope, you're going to keep going and like, you're going to like it. And I mean, there were times where it was hard, but I'm glad. I'm glad that I did. In my friends group, I was really the only one outside of school who had like something passionate that I really enjoyed doing. So that was the only thing. I felt like sometimes I, missed out on some things because I'm training 7 days a week. I'm in the ballet studio, 9 to 5, Saturday and Sunday, working on the next production and whatnot. So I think that was the hardest part, but in the end, like I didn't miss out on anything.
Yeah, it's funny how when you grow up, you look back and you're like, why was I like, what was that about? What was the issue? There
Yeah,
was really no issue.
exactly. So
So when you transitioned from dance to yoga, how was that? I guess I don't think it would. I mean, you're very flexible. You can make any shape. Is there any shape you can't make?
yeah, there's some really intense ones because like I like border on just like deep back bender contortionist. Like I'll never consider myself a contortionist, but like there are some extreme things that I do that are, not necessarily attainable to most, but there are certain things if you go to Instagram and search, you'll see some crazy things. And like, I'm not ready, or I don't know if even I want to get that deep into the practice, it's pretty extreme.
It is. Well, when you went from dance to yoga, you was there a lot more? Obviously, there's the mental. That's the biggest component of yoga is the mental, the mind, body, this inner kind of spirit. But your actual body, was there a lot of other stuff to learn, or were you able to just transition pretty seamlessly?
It was a fairly seamless transition. There were some things like I tend to sit in my hyperextension a lot, which in ballet is a beautiful thing. It creates beautiful lines, but in yoga, it can lead to injury if you do it repeatedly like that for too long. So, like, there were certain postures. Even now, I feel like I'm still relearning certain basics just in terms of alignment. Like, the technique is there, but there's always going to be some of my, like, ballet training that kind of always sticks.
Mm-hmm.
That can make the yoga either sometimes easier or more challenging.
What's the hardest thing that you can do? Like the hardest pose?
Oh, I don't know.
You call them poses, right?
Pardon?
They're called poses.
Yeah, yoga poses.
What do you think is the prettiest, most difficult one? Or your favorite pose?
There's one that I always do a lot. It's like a full camel where it just kind of bend like a box and I grab my knees with my hands.
Mm-hmm.
I think that always looks pretty nice. And then there's just like, certain, I'll be on chest stand and I'll bring my legs up overhead and place my feet flat on the floor. So it's like
the crocodile or alien. Is it
teardrop
alien or
kind of
crocodile?
thing.
It's an alien or a crocodile?
Well, they refer that sort of stuff. They refer to as alien.
Okay. I had Sam on here. You know Sam, the
Yeah, I work with her. I'm seeing her this afternoon.
yeah. You have to tell her I said hi. So I learned a lot from her with her the terms and then because I don't know about contortion and a little about yoga, but it's very interesting because do the names correlate also? Do the names transfer?
They do. They do. And I mean, of course, like once you get into certain things contortion wise, the name changes, and like a lot of yogis haven't heard of it because it's not something that's really available to them in their practice. I'm honestly not great with terminology. I never pretend to be. That's one thing I definitely could take like a few lessons in, just like some sort of training on like just terminology and Sanskrit and all that stuff. But
so what is the technical type of yoga? What's it called? The type that I guess you teach something different than you practice, or you practice what you teach, or
I do both. I mean, like my flexibility training is just like something totally separate. But I do, when I teach, it's mostly a vinyasa meets hatha flow. My classes are challenging. So we're flowing, but like we're also holding things. Like I call it flowing in the wind. I don't really like, it's just like you're doing yoga, but not really doing yoga. Like when you finish taking my class, like you've worked hard, you're spent, like you can feel it. And so it's a vinyasa meets hatha.
cool.
I don't really do much with ashtanga. Occasionally I'll still take a hot yoga class, aka hatha or Bikram class for myself, just to see where I'm at, and just, because I do incorporate those elements into my vinyasa flow. My teacher training was with Jared McCann. He opened up Lighthouse Yoga School. I'm not sure if you follow him on Instagram. He's wonderful, but his teaching, his teacher training is incredible and taught me so much. And what's nice is that I try to incorporate some like real deep breathing to start, a nice yoga nidra at the end of my class, and then just like a jam-packed hardcore with like twists, inversions, back bends, hip openers, all of that stuff.
It's fun. When you made the transition, because I don't know, because I don't know, I'm guessing that ballet dance obviously is all about movement and go, 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 where yoga is much more centered. Was it hard for you to find that center, like that? I don't think it's calm, but it's like, because you seem very like, where I'm like, so when you like making that transition, how has that been?
At first, it was really hard. And I think just I'm in my head a lot generally. So, like, to have to get on the mat and, like, find some stillness and inner peace was the biggest challenge ever. And I used to do asana competitions for a couple of years. And so,
What does a competition look like?
Bunch of competitors from different states. Well, let's say New York Regional, for instance. All of the yogis who want to compete get together. You have 3 minutes to compete a 6 posture routine, 4 compulsories, 2 optionals, and it's changed recently. But like in the beginning, you had to complete, A, B, C, D posture. You could add a little bit of flair for extra degree of difficulty, which is what kind of sets people apart from one another. And then, of course, optional poses. So someone could do like a rabbit pose. Meanwhile, someone's doing handstand scorpion. Obviously, the handstand scorpion is going to score higher. And then whoever wins, I think it's top 3 in New York, you get to go to the super regionals, which is like the Northeast, same kind of structure. And then those top competitors, or I think it's the top competitor from every state, then gets to compete in nationals. And then if you win nationals, you can go to internationals. Yeah. So it was quite a thing for a while. I mean, it's kind of died off a little bit because of the pandemic. And I might compete again. I'm not really sure, but I've just found a lot of peace since having finished competing. I think because a lot of times I'm just so in my head that like I would defeat myself during competition. There were a few moments where I like was able to find some stillness, but it's like I wake up doing these things every day, and then you put me on a stage where I should, not to sound boastful, but like, finish top 3 at least. I'm coming in like 10th because I've wobbled for whatever reason. And like, I'm just like, I'm not centered. So
that makes sense.
I find that now I'm much more centered. I'm super, super calm now and like very, very like find that stillness. And even people around me, they're like, just being around you, I can just feel that calm and that zen, and it's so centering. So I think, now I am, but it took a long time to get here.
Yeah, well, I was reading up on it on your website, but also you mentioned it. You've, been through, as people have, they go through roller coasters in life. And I think that, it's a matter of how you handle and how you react and respond to things that are thrown your way. And the one thing that I am curious about, because I think that it's something that's super common, especially now with social media and everyone's comparing themselves, and there's this filter and that filter, and especially amongst, I'm sure boys, but very much so females and girls with eating disorders. And I don't know, also correct me and tell me your thoughts on this. It all just goes back to your mindset, your mentality of having your head, I guess, in the right place, or I guess maybe your mental health. I don't know. What do you think? Because I did read what you said on this about your on the blog and or the interview that you did. I can't remember where I read it, but I thought it was super insightful on some tips that you shared for things that helped you to overcome your eating disorder or cope with it. Or, I mean, I don't know. Is it something that's forever present or you get over it and that's it?
I think you always have to be mindful, um, and just like do all of the necessary things that are going to serve you. Like, don't start engaging in behaviors or surround yourself with people who are maybe going to be triggering. Um, you know, it's, and maybe like if I had a baby or a husband or something, my head would be thinking about other things. Like, it would never be a thing, but you are in front of the camera all the time. You are like, wearing yoga clothes, doing the things, like, people are looking at you, and it's just something to where you have to feel comfortable and healthy and peaceful within yourself, and just continue to do all of the things that are going to keep you on that path. And even like, talking with people openly, or just like, you have to be honest and true to yourself. If you're having some sort of issue, or if I'm feeling a certain sort of way, I start journaling, or I'll talk to, a good friend or my brother or something like that, and just be very candid and, about how I'm feeling. And it's like, okay, stay the track, stay on course, like,
Mm-hmm.
just take a few deep breaths, take some quiet time for yourself. If you're feeling overwhelmed, like, do something. You just have to stay present and stay active and stay aware. I feel like it could be easy to slip up if you're not doing the things that you need to be doing, or if you start engaging in negative behaviors or things of that nature.
Well, is it that's the thing, not only that thing, but not only an eating disorder specifically is what I'm saying, but things that you can control, you generally speaking, anyone,
Yeah.
that's why that's the chosen thing. Like that's um the chosen thing to do because you can control it. And it feels like maybe other things are spiraling. Is that spiraling out? Is that why people choose to do that? Or is it a like a distorted self-image, like how do you really see yourself kind of thing?
I think it's both distorted self-image. Because mine started in ballet after I had my knee surgery. I was afraid of gaining weight, not training, and so I just started restricting, and then it just became like a lifestyle. It became easy, and you start getting good feedback, and because it's the ballet world. I mean, it's different now for sure, but I was 16 then, and I'm 36 now, so it's very different. But a lot of it is just a control thing too. You feel like you have control. Either it's like not eating or exercising too much, or people binge and purge as well. It's For me, I think it was mostly a control thing. I think like there was a lot of my mom, I guess, like living vicariously through me, and I was kind of like her puppet, and I didn't really have my own voice. Like, I feel like I just found my voice like over the last year, really. And so I think that was like my way of kind of like acting out. And then when that was better, sometimes I would then swap that out for drinking problems. And so it was just like, it was like on a wild circus roller coaster. But, once you get over like the body dysmorphia and like start to realize why you're doing this, like the hardest part is just acknowledging you have a problem and then trying to figure out what the root cause is. Like, you can't just, I went to therapy a lot, but I mean, I didn't really feel like, I knew what was happening and I knew what pretty much the cause was, but it's like you also have to be in a mind space where like you actively feel happy and like you want to make these changes, because it's hard. It's like not easy at all, especially if you're in like a cyclical pattern for years. It became like my security blanket. It's like all I knew. And instead of like talking to someone or like, voicing how I'm feeling, it was just easier for me to like not eat or eat and throw up.
What was the turning moment? Like what finally caused you to make that switch and say, okay, I'm going to do this?
I think it was when I found my Bikram practice. Things started shifting then. I think like just, it was like being in the mirror and like, just really kind of facing myself, I guess, for the first time in like a different light than I had and a different lens. And then I think too, it's like, you don't want to live your whole life like this. Like, this is not something you want to do. It's like, so let's start to really, make the changes and start to put in the work and put in the effort. I mean, it's very awkward for a while and uncomfortable, but obviously I'm like all the better for it now and can share and talk openly about it and whatnot. But I think because it was such like a long, it was like over 10 years that like it really,
Yeah.
I always it's always sort of there, but it's like not there. Like I don't have to worry about it, but I am mindful that it did exist and I obviously don't want it to come back. So I make sure I eat every 3 hours and I eat certain things and, it's kind of like a lifestyle permanent routine for me now.
Yeah, it's really well, a couple of things to that. One, I know a few girls who I used to train with. They had crazy stories about getting basically to the lowest point of being so light. Like one, she was going for a run and she broke her pelvis. Like she just cracked because she was so frail from an eating disorder. And it's things like that that happen that make you realize, like, for her, this is what made her realize like she needs to, get on the right track and do good for herself, because it's absolutely petrifying how you can really just dwindle down and diminish to like just bones. It's so scary because you can die. And then we have a friend recently, and it's a boy, and he's, I don't know, I think he's 14, 15, something like that, and he did the same thing. And it's crazy, and I don't know if it's like a social media thing, but you hear about it with girls, but when it happened with the boy, it's very like, that's how strong this whole culture is, I guess, if that's what you want to call it, the culture of 2021, or the culture of social media era, or whatever this phenomenon is. And it's crazy because I'm a nutritionist and I've, helped people with their diet, gain weight, lose weight, whatever. And I spoke with him and he was like, I was just trying to get abs. And we laughed. He and I laughed at the same time. And I was like, is that really? He was like, yeah. And it was just such an interesting thing because when people genuinely are just trying to eat healthy and, they're going for the abs or the bicep or I don't know, whatever they're shooting their goal is. And there's so much information out there. It's almost like they don't know how
to process it.
Yeah. Or to get the right information to go about it properly. So it's crazy because when I see, and so he ended up in the hospital and his heart rate was like down to like 34 or something, like super low. And it's just petrifying because, and it's exactly what you're saying. Like you have to figure it out within yourself. And then once you do that, and that's when you can move forward. And I think that's why it's so scary for people around, because they see it, and it's as much as it's probably scary for you or, people that are going through it to talk about, the people on the outside to bring it up and to talk about it. It's also, I think, hard and frightening because it's like, you don't want to be too aggressive or like, it's like really something you got to kind of finesse around.
Yeah. But And bottom line, it's really just up to the individual, like once they're ready to start making changes and if they're ready to commit to it and just put in the work. Because it's not easy, but obviously it's worth it. I mean, you can get your life back. It's like, who wants to spend all their time thinking about food? And it's exhausting. You could do so much more with your time.
No, it's true. It's a real true. It's crazy because I mean, being in the fit health and wellness world and like having nutrition clients and writing programs and writing things for people to eat, it's wild because it really has been eye opening for people just don't know.
Yeah, totally.
It's wild. So the other thing I was going to ask you about with that is you mentioned this, you're always doing photo shoots, you're always in front of a camera, you're always in front of people. Do you think that helps you stay on track or makes it a little bit more of a fight?
Helps me stay on track. I think knowing that I need to be kind of camera facing all of the time has actually been a bit more of an incentive just for me to keep my head on the way it needs to be. Because also it's like, when people do start to read my story, I want to be like more of an inspiration and a role model, not like look like some stick figure Malibu Barbie who, is living this perfect, glamorous, glorious life. It's like, no, it wasn't perfect. I've worked really hard to get where I am, mentally, physically, career-wise, everything. But I don't think it exacerbates it at all. I just think it helps me just feel still calm and centered around it and just like, approach it on like an even, keel. Not like, oh, I need to look skinnier, I need to look like this. It's like, no, not at all. So.
Do you like looking at your photos and stuff?
Yeah. Once I get them there, I'm like, oh, that's a pretty line, or something like that.
You see the technicalities of it.
Yeah. And like I work a lot with Renee Choi. She kind of shoots 90% of my content, and she knows what I like now. So she'll be like, okay, point the toe more, lock it out more. So, which is great. And then like when I get on set with like Aloe, for instance, I know, what it's going to feel like and how I want the line to look. So
that's fun. It's definitely, it makes it more comfortable when you're prepared. You know who you're working with, you know what they want, you know what you can give them, which is everything in your case.
And I know that they're going to capture it, I think that's important too. When you get in those deep, deep back bends, you don't want to do it 4 and 5 times. You just want to do it once.
I'll put a photo or a video here from your Instagram so people can see, because you really can get into these crazy, like I just can't even, these positions that are just mind blowing. How much are you training a day?
Not that often. I should be training more. It's been hard because I've been traveling a lot recently. I feel like I've been traveling nonstop since like March this year. When I am like rooted down at home, I try to see Sam definitely once a week. When I'm feeling really good and like, definitely going to be here like at least a month, I try to see her twice a week. I feel like it's helped the ease of my practice. I get into things a lot faster. I get into them deeper. It feels comfortable. When I'm alone, I'll probably train myself personally like twice a week. I go to the gym sometimes, but sometimes that makes me tight. So I've been trying to scale that back just a smidge and just focus on the flexibility. And then like I'll teach my yoga classes. I teach 2 a week. And
are you doing virtual or in person now?
They're virtual. I'm hoping to do some in person soon, like at Sky Ting or something like that down in Chinatown on their roster list of teachers. So I'd love to get in there for like an advanced class and like actually work with people and see them. I have a lot of private clients that come to my apartment, and some of them just want to flow, so I work them out, or some want to back bend, of course. So I work them out in that capacity too. So I would love to do more in real life classes though.
The connection is a real thing that's missed.
Yeah, and I mean, I want to be able to see what people are doing. You can't really see that well on the other side of the camera. It's like a laptop screen is only so big, and it's not like I have some big jumbotron here, so I can't like see what's
You're like
happening.
zoom, zoom,
Yeah,
zoom.
I like literally just sit in front of the laptop and teach because if I flow with them even a little bit, I'm gonna miss what's happening. So I prefer to at least get in there real close when I can.
Totally. So you learn, you teach,
Mhm.
you do shoots, you what do you think? I mean, I don't know if it's ultimately, but what do you think your next step is, or what do you, because I feel like when you've made such a huge leap over, really grappling and getting this eating situation under control, and now leaving the finance world, being in yoga, like you're on your track for life, right? Like is this your purpose, you think, or what do you think your kind of mission is to do?
I definitely want to, keep teaching and keep training myself. I feel like that, it serves me mentally, physically. I love giving back to the community. I mean, when my students leave my class or, a lesson, they're so happy and they feel so great and they're just so thankful. And that just leaves me feeling so amazing. So that's something I'm always going to keep um, in my life, in my career, and for the future. I do envision myself doing more like in a retreat capacity or something like that. It'd be nice to just connect with more people in various parts of the world, sharing what I love with them. And just like, you know, when I do a retreat, I just have this great sense of community and love, and just I feel so rejuvenated and whole after the fact. And I just want to be able to give that to the community even more. Um, of course, I want to, keep working with various brands and like kind of live that influencer, air quote, sort of health and wellness, or even more lifestyle, because I do enjoy, you know surprisingly, from ED now, I do enjoy like going out to dinner and like eating and stuff like that. So sharing that and just like more lifestyle type things. So I would like to see my trajectory incorporate a little bit more lifestyle, because I really want to be like a lifestyle brand, so to
Yeah.
speak. Even though, of course, yoga is always going to be my core foundation, 200%. I'll never give that up. But I would like to do like more, let's say, online, like create like a teaching platform of just like online virtual classes, like series classes that people want to sign up and take, and just provide in that sense. I mean, I filmed a little bit for Aloe Moves recently, which was really great. I'm excited to see those classes come out, but I'd love to do like more of that over time. And definitely a passion project. I'm like navigating it, figuring out how to do more, but is work with the Lupus Foundation more. That's something that I would love to just continue to give back to as far as community. And that just makes me feel whole. Any kind of philanthropic work is just, I grew up as a Girl Scout, so I like to give back to the community.
When you tell me a little bit more about your lupus journey.
I was diagnosed in 2016, so fairly recent. I mean, I literally thought I was dying. Like, I was in the middle of a yoga competition and my body just collapsed on stage. I was mortified. But obviously, at that point, too, I knew something was devastatingly wrong. I had all sorts of crazy symptoms, like my hair was falling out, sores in my mouth, sores in my nose. I had like spots in the back of my throat. I was swollen beyond belief. I lost all of my motor skills. I had to stop practicing yoga. I stopped going to work. They let me work from home, even though I wasn't doing anything. I was just laying in bed. I was literally sleeping like 20 plus hours a day. I was blacking out all over Manhattan. I got to the office one day and I didn't even know where I was. I had to ask someone to show me to my floor.
Oh my goodness.
People were calling me on the phone. I didn't even recognize my dad's voice anymore. It was just like, finally, after many urgent care doctors, which was a waste of time, but my parents dragged me home and eventually I was like diagnosed. I spent a week in the hospital. They just ran like a battery of tests and they're like, you have kidney lupus. So there's always protein in my kidneys, which is something that I always have to look out for. I can always tell when something's kind of coming. I got back from Portugal the other day and for 2 days I was like swollen, totally like potential flare. I had like a really bad fever, but I nipped it in the bud and back to normal within 48 hours. But that kind of changed my wellness journey in general. It was one of those things to where it was like, this is it. Like, I didn't know what lupus was. I didn't know what the repercussions were going to be. I mean, obviously there's medication and I knew people had like died from it previously. And it's just like, what does this even mean? And so it's totally changed my life. But I would say for the better. It's helped me want to nourish and love my body in a whole new way that maybe I wouldn't be in this place if it weren't for like the lupus diagnosis. I've learned to listen to my body. I value rest now. Like if I'm tired, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. Like that's it. Like if I need 10 hours of sleep, I'm taking the 10 hours. And at least what's nice, working for myself, doing the yoga and all that stuff, I can afford to do that. If I was working 9 to 5 like I was, it'd be a different story. But no, it's changed my life. I want to eat good food. I eat primarily vegan. I mean, I throw in some protein from time to time because I feel like my body needs it because it's so active. But water, tea, don't really drink at all. It's like it's all just health and wellness all the time. And I don't want to be on medication for the rest of my life. So it's really getting to my body to a point of like optimal health where I can really start to wean it down and maybe lupus will go into remission.
I know what lupus is, but I don't know much about it. Like, I think my understanding is probably what yours was before you had it.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing. I mean, it's insane hearing about it, how it just.
Yeah. It's like 0 to 60. One day I was fine. And then like February, I started getting sick. My face was exploding. They thought I had the mumps for a while. And then by June, I was diagnosed. So it was just like a rapid spiral.
And why? What is even the cause of it? Is it a hereditary thing? Is it you here having your genetics or just environmental, lifestyle?
No, I think a lot of it's environmental and lifestyle. I grew up really well and lived a pretty affluent lifestyle. My parents gave me everything. I grew up in Princeton, New Jersey. There's nothing I didn't have, but I think some of the life stressors that I went through and then put my body through between the alcohol and the eating and, all of that mental stuff, I think is really just kind of what set it off. I mean, there's no true, particular diagnosis. It's just like everyone's symptoms are so different. When I start to flare, I get really bad joint pain and just like my body swells up. Other people, it's like, they'll start to get sores in their mouth or sores in their nose or something like that. Or people have scars on their face. It's like a butterfly rash. I've never really had that, but that's typical, like trademark lupus. But just one of those random, weird autoimmune diseases. Nobody knows why it starts. It just kind of comes on and the body literally starts attacking itself. So my body was just attacking itself and it was like eating itself. I was like dying and literally didn't even understand what was happening. And it's not I think they're probably testing for more for it now because I feel like autoimmune things keep popping up all over the place, which I just think is, I'm like, is it the food? Is it people's lifestyle? Like, what is, it's like the new, not sounds really bad, but it's like almost, as prevalent as cancer now. It's like just, and you don't really understand why it starts, but it definitely helped me bring in the reins and just like want to get healthy and like I want to be living a better life. And so in general, the whole health and wellness thing, it just all ties together really beautifully. And the yoga, I think, helps me with the lupus too. I can tell when my body is starting to struggle based on how my practice is going. And I think just like the constant movement, it's really helpful. I mean, of course, like movement is like my career, but I try to encourage other lupus warriors the importance of like getting out there, moving consistently, like eating really well. It makes a big difference. And I just sometimes feel like maybe not enough people are willing to put in the effort or the resources behind taking care of their health.
Well, it's so easy to not, right? Like fast food, it's like you got it here, you want this, that, whatever you want, especially in New York City, but also, anywhere in the country for that matter at this point. It's like, it's so easy to eat crap. It's so easy to not take care of yourself. And if anything, and I mean, this is a whole different thing that we're not even going to get into, but even like now they're giving away burgers, Krispy Kreme, this, that. Go get the vaccine and I'll give you burgers. It's like, so it's like all these, and it's sad, but it's a reality. All these big companies, they're backing and they have all this money. So of course people are going to be over, like, what is it? 3 out of 4 people is overweight or something crazy. Like it's insane.
It's that high? Oh my God.
It's definitely 50%. It might be 3 out of 4 people. It's insane. It's like disgusting. And I think that they make it so easy. It's not like so I'm from the Midwest, I'm from Michigan. And when I go home, I'm like, well, I want to go get a juice, like a fresh juice. Like I literally have to search and search and search. And I finally found a place and it's like 45 minutes from where I live. But of course I'll go because it's like, when you're eating healthy and you're taking care of yourself, your body craves it. Like the same way when you eat bad and you eat, like when I eat sugar, my body craves sugar. When I eat healthy, just juices and greens, my body craves that.
Yeah.
And I think that whatever you feed it, whatever you're nourishing it with, even if you're not nourishing it, that's what it wants more of. And most people don't know what it feels like to feel good or to not feel fatigued and to not feel, so they have no idea what they're missing out on. They only know what they know.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I never, after eating breakfast, lunch, or dinner, I'm never like, oh, a food coma, unless it's Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Yeah.
But, I feel energized and I'm like, okay, body feels light, still good, but like it's nourished.
Yeah, it's so sad that that's the reality of what people they just don't know. And how do you know what you don't know?
Exactly. And there needs to be a lot of more education behind it.
So much. It's such a, well, we'll see what happens with that. The world is in a weird state right now. So hopefully and on that same point, I was talking with a dermatologist on the podcast about, and her original thing was nutrition. So we started talking about food and she's a doctor. And as you probably can attest, like, yes, if you want to get the vaccine, go for it. Whatever, that's your choice. But why can't you do more things at home? Why can't you, wear a mask, 6-foot rule, whatever, but take care of yourself, take vitamins, take supplements, get some fresh air, work out, move your body, eat right, like lose some weight, not you, but people in general, like instead of taking things into their own hands, the matters in their own hand, they want to just wait for a cure. And it's like, I don't think that that's the way to go.
No, it's never a cure. It's about you. You have to be active and do something about it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
true. I think that's a great way to end. But but my other question for you is I know you have retreats coming up. Where can people find you and whatever else you might want to share?
I'm on Instagram at What Gibbs.
I love
I have
that.
a link in bio. I have a funny story about that. I think it's like the marketing director at Rag and Bone, the clothing brand, came up with that for me. I was
That's
like
so
very,
it's so cute.
it's adorable. I have a link in bio there, which you can check out my website. I think it's whatgibbsnyc.com. And yeah, I have retreats coming up, one in October in Greece. It's kind of soon. We'll see what happens with all the variants and stuff like that. But it's supposed to be in Crete, October 17th to the 22nd. 5 days, 4 nights, just fabulous. It's going to be beautiful, right on the water. And planning something in Jamaica during President's Weekend? Yeah, I think in Jamaica. Again, 5 days, 4 nights. I'm still actually working out some of the finite details on that one, but I'm super excited. But definitely check out the Greece one. I'd love for people to come.
Yes, will do. So I'll include links and little videos so people can see where to go and check it out. I think that's it. Anything else?
Amazing.
Cool.
I don't think so. Just I'm going to host a Lupus event soon, so maybe be on top for that.
Definitely, I will. I'm very. That's going to be a virtual or kind of thing, or you're going to go and then.
I want it to be in real life. I know.
But don't hold your breath.
Yeah, no. But if not, then virtual for sure. But yeah.
Awesome.
Oh.
And thank you again.
Thank you. Have a great day.
See you, Victoria. You too.
Bye.
Bye.